Hello, this is Mike P here from RoadTrailRun, and today I'm going to be taking you out on my first run on the HOKA Tecton X3. Now for me, this is the most anticipated trail shoe, not just from HOKA, pretty much from any brand ever. For me personally, I saw these, I think, prototypes on Jim Walmsley when he was running UTMB. I saw the knit collar. I was super pumped. Versions 1 and versions 2 I've used in multiple 100-mile races, rugged terrain across Idaho, I Am Tough, Scout Mountain, Stanhope, Palisades, pretty much my 100-mile shoe of choice. So when I saw this knit collar / gaiter, I was totally pumped. Heard about the PIBA midsole. It just looked like it would be another huge step up for the Tecton X. So I'm just going to talk about the shoe here, visually take a look at it, walk you through the features before I head out on my first run. HOKA goes with a full 2-layer PIBA midsole now. It's softer, bouncier, you could feel it in hand, the softness, but not overly soft compression of the midsole foam. Given that they're going PIBA is traditionally, like I said, softer and bouncier. They have to stabilize that a little bit. Again, you have these dual carbon fiber plates in the Tecton X3. So they just added little wings that come up on the side, and that's just to laterally stabilize the full PIBA foam. So again, it's a little bit softer, bouncier, squishier than a traditional EVA, so a little bit more tricky to control. Also, if you take a look at the outsole, Vibram Mega Grip light base construction, same compound as V2. The lugs are a bit deeper, 4 mil here. I believe these are 3.5. They're definitely shallower. They're flatter across the top. Here you have more of a chevron shape, of course. You also have these traction nubs on here, which is something Vibram's been doing in a lot of shoes. You can see how the outsole is connected in one piece of rubber. Here you had 2 split pieces, allows more flexibility, but with the PIBA midsole, I'm assuming it was a little bit too much of a disconnect, so they wanted to use the rubber of the outsole to give it an additional level of stability, similar to what they're trying to provide with these carbon fiber winglets. So if you look at the shoe, you may think it looks quite a bit bulky. I think that's just the effect of the collar making it look a little bit boot-like. If I put these side by side on the ground compared to version 2, it's exactly the same platform on the ground. Now I've got this shoe in a US 10. The weight comes in at 9.7 ounces, 276 grams. My version 2 pair here, also a US 10, comes in at 9.5 ounces, 270 grams. So it's really a very minor weight gain. The weight loss from the PIBA midsole is so great that you could kind of add other elements such as this knit collar, increased carbon fiber, more rubber, with really just having kind of a relatively marginal weight gain. Moving around in this upper, matrix material, love it. You can see there's some overlays coming through here. You can't really tell, but I could practically see through from one side to the other. Extremely lightweight, yet extremely strong. There's not any kind of stretch to this upper. This is going to hold the foot really well with these overlays. Also breathe and drain very well. If you take a look at the toe box of the shoe, you can see what they call the vamp here is much larger. For me and my foot, the Tecton has been nicely rounded enough to go every step of a 100-miler. So I've had no problems with the toe box, but I could see maybe you might want a little bit more volume just for comfort. It is a kind of a race type fit. With this vamp here, and also with this, the way they oriented the lacing with this center kind of hold here, it does seem to give a little bit more volume in this area right here. And this stretchy vamp here, compared to this kind of smaller one, it's actually, the material here is kind of a rigid material, where this is really a stretchy material. So I think you're going to have a little bit more comfort in the toe box compared to this version here. So I'm going to go ahead and lace these up side by side. First version 2, then version 3. Kind of feel out the differences, talk through them. So these version 2s, I just ran the final 40 miles of Palisades 100-mile Ultra 5 days ago. They're pretty beat. I ran every step of Scout Mountain 100-mile last year. I also put quite a few miles in the Dizzy Horse Backyard Ultra this December. They have 311 miles in them. So again, this shoe fits my foot really well. Nice and rounded, snug fit through the midfoot. Here, I've got a thumb width space at a US 10. Perfect, that's what you want to have. Let's go with the Tecton X3. See, as you can see, that knit collar, there's no issue. It's a fabric knit and it's quite stretchy. No issues at all. Getting my foot in there, completely sealed. Awesome. Something I'm concerned about is there's no tongue here. This is a booty setup here, so you just kind of have a stretch knit along the middle. I have tried these on already once before. I would normally be concerned about lace bite, especially right here where this knot is going to be, but it's actually, I don't feel it at all. I'm not sure if it's how the matrix is set up, the way these gillies are, I don't know, oriented in the right spot, but I don't feel lace pressure right here, especially compared to some other shoes with traditional tongues, which is quite good. So if you take a look at these side by side, you could see the vamp here is much bigger, and you could kind of see it's a little bit higher. These are both US 10s. This one's smaller, not as much stretch. This one's definitely bigger, and I think due to the way this lacing is oriented here, or maybe there's just more volume here in this area of material, there's definitely more vertical space here. This one sits kind of on the top of my forefoot, and this one's a little bit above. This is a good thing. I'm liking this so far. The shape is the same through the midfoot, up through my forefoot, just more volume over the top here. Again, I'm a US 10. Sizing is exactly the same. About a full thumb's width up front for both of them. That's what you want to have if you're running 100 miles or any type of longer distance. Okay, so these are, again, 311 miles. Definitely worn in. It's hard to kind of judge, but I could feel the bounciness of this one. Piba, oh, feels great. Another thing I was concerned about with this type of upper was heel hold. Version 2 did a good job of adding bolsters along the interior here, and it really improved the heel lockdown from version 1. With the absence of a collar here in version 3, when I initially saw this shoe, I was concerned that maybe heel hold would be an issue. But there are, you can see the outline here, there's interior bolsters here and also on this side. And I have to say, just on foot, heel hold feels really good. I don't think I'm going to have an issue there. If you look at it, you could see where these bolsters are oriented. Also, the counter, there's no rigid counter here at all. Even here, I've had some shoes that I've tested recently where this has been really stiff. That stiffness is not there. They did a good job of covering any seams. I can feel inside of my finger. This is going to be a very comfortable heel, and again, it seems to be extremely well held. The stiffness of the shoe, I'm flexing right now, it's quite stiff, I would say. Actually, it's pretty good considering the carbon plates. Little torsional stiffness, but overall pretty good. I think the Piba foam, the softness, kind of mitigates that stiffness because you can feel the flex through the midsole, while overall it may be generally a stiffer shoe. The midsole allows a bit more compression into the shoe and some flex. This shoe feels fantastic on foot right now. Gonna lace up the other pair, grab some gear, and head out for my first run. right, so it's definitely hot out here, about 95 degrees. Need this bucket hat. We've had 100+ temps the past several weeks without relief, so 95 is okay. Anyway, I'm 5 days out from a pretty rugged 100-miler at Palisades, Idaho / Wyoming border. So I'm pretty beat up. My feet were wrecked after the race. They're starting to come around. I feel like I could run a little bit. This is actually my first run out. I'm going to test these Tecton X3s out. Very mellow, kind of a recovery run. I tend to do this when I'm testing my shoes. Anyway, the first run I like to keep it kind of mellow. I like to get a feel for the shoe itself without really pushing too much. I like to feel how it feels on my foot, the fit, kind of get a handle on it before I take them into anything crazy. So here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, noticing deep level of cushioning. The Piba foam feels quite bouncy, high level of rebound. Feels really great. So I'm about 25 minutes in. I'm having a little trouble getting some footage out on the trail. It's midday now. It's so bright, and my exposure is getting blown out. I'm not a camera expert. I run, but I haven't, figured out the camera situation yet. But anyway, the Piba midsole, 40 under the heel, 35 under the forefoot. HOKA is changing their measurements from the bottom of the foot to the ground. It's the same as V1 and V2. You'll notice higher numbers because they're just changing the way they measure. Anyway, it feels deep, also bouncy, way more than V2. Definitely have that bounce. Once I get more into testing, I'm gonna have to determine what level of care or caution, whatever you want to call it, you would have to take running on top of this type of bouncy midsole as opposed to V2 and V1's ProFly midsole. Those felt surely a bit more grounded, so a bit more stable. So here you're getting the benefits of that bounciness, the resilience of that Piba foam, the durability, but you might need to exercise a little bit more control when running in these. I'll see. Like I said, today's nice and easy run. Taking a look down at the shoe, volume in the toe box is extremely noticeable. I would almost say I have room for my toes to splay in these. It's noticeable compared to V2. If you were even a little bit tight in V2, these are going to feel better for sure. The volume is better. You have more space. I could feel definitely more movement. I have a regular width sock here. I typically go with a dual layer setup for 100 milers, so a little bit of added thickness. But I tried both of the shoes on AB back at the house, and these were noticeably more volume right around this area. That's a good thing. As far as sizing, I've got a 10, like I said, a full thumbs width. I might consider going true to size, 9.5 for me in these. If you have a low volume foot and narrow foot, you might want to go true to size. I wouldn't have recommended that for V2. V2 definitely up a half size. I wore 10. I wouldn't consider going 9.5 in V2. With these, like I said, if you have a lower volume foot, a narrower foot, you might want to go true to size, 9.5. Even myself, if I wanted to have this shoe for, say, a shorter ultra distance, not necessarily a 100-miler where you have to worry about that, foot swelling, say 50K, even up to 50-miler, I might go down a half size to feel a little bit more strapped in, especially on top of that Piba midsole. And that's not something I would have said for V2, and definitely not V1. V1 was definitely small. I went up a full size in that one. V2 was more in line with typical sizing. I went up a half a size for ultra. Same size 10 here. I would definitely go with the 10 for a 100-miler, 100K plus. But I would consider going down to 9.5 for myself for, say, a shorter ultra distance event. So on the run, the heel, it held just as well as I thought it would when I tried them on back at the house. These bolsters seat the heel really well. You know, with the booty setup, you don't have this collar over here and on this side, and even in the rear on the Achilles area, you don't have that kind of stiff collar. Sometimes even in the Tecton X2, towards the end of the race, 80 miles, whatever, maybe to be expected, you could get that collar kind of digging into your ankle bone. So if you have any issues with collars and the bottom of your ankle bone on either side, that's pretty much a non-issue with this shoe. This is pretty much sealed up here, but there's nothing rigid around here on either side. You just have these bolsters holding the heel, and like I demonstrated earlier, this is pretty soft. The counter is really nothing to it, and soft and smooth on the inside. You know, if you tend to deal with collar issues, especially in the latter stages of races or even in general, this is really a great option just for that. The heel area in this shoe, they did an excellent job. Very impressed with that. And that was a concern going in with this type of, you know, booty setup, no tongue, no collars, but it's really excellent. I love it. That's kind of a wrap for first try on, first run, first impressions for sure. As I get a little bit more feeling back in my legs and my feet, I get a little more comfortable, I'll ramp up a little bit, and definitely I want to get these out into more challenging terrain. Like I said, this is just easy today. Just wanted to get a feel for them. I think I did that. Hope you enjoyed the review. I'm going to have a full review up on the written Road Trail Run website. I'll probably do a YouTube review too, so if you have any questions or anything you could think of that you want me to talk about in either the written review or the YouTube review, or even terrain maybe you'd want to see them in, just leave a comment down below. Catch you later.